Over the past 4 years, I have grinded many mobile shooter games. Being confident with my skill level in each one, I thought it was just a trait of who I am as a person until Apex Mobile released. For the first time in a long time, I was nowhere near the top when it came to skill. And this is the journey of how I changed that and became the #1 player. My knowledge and mechanics at the beginning were abysmal. I couldn't even get up the wall during the tutorial. Even as time dragged on, with many sensitivity changes and HUD tweaks, I found myself being absolutely awful. Even versus bots, with sniper gameplay having a 1-figure accuracy rating and my SMG shots looking like a no attachment MSMC from COD Mobile. Let's just say the aura and mood that surrounded me was gloomy. The atrociously high ping also contributed to making day one miserable.
Really?
But the worst part was the knock to my mentality. You see, my entire career for the last half a decade has been based around me being one of the best players in every single shooter title I take part in. So seeing that I was so terrible was actually, as cringy as it may sound, depressing. But at least I knew something had to change, and that something was me. As I dwindled off to sleep with a badly bruised mental state, I decided instead of thinking about how bad I was, I could view this as the start of a new challenge, a new story to tell, and most importantly, a new chapter to write.
No way.
Hopping onto the game as soon as I woke up, a newfound desire to get better emerged. Focusing in on timing my abilities, accuracy, and momentum, I gave it my all to improve. However, I ended up experiencing one of the most embarrassing moments in all of my mobile shooter days, and it just so happened this gun right here is known as the Mastiff. With me being not confident, having bad accuracy, and terrible movement, this atrocity took place. Moving clean was what I struggled with most. Even though I came from a fast-paced, high-octane game like Call of Duty Mobile, where movement is heavily abused, this was different. In fact, everything was different.
Whoa, he lasered me.
However, with the worst moment I've ever seen myself in out of the way, I knew from now on, it was only up. Rock bottom had been reached, and the upward trajectory was sure to follow suit. Ziplines, wall bounces, abilities, and more made everything extra complex. It was like I took a SpaceX rocket to a different planet. Team engagements had more variety, and gunfights more depth.
He's jumping on you guys,
And although my main competition is and always will be myself, in this mission, I couldn't help but notice others posting clips. Just watching them made me feel inferior. It was hard to look at, knowing I'd went so far down the leaderboard in terms of skill compared to everyone else. In fact, I felt less than average, which really put a pit in my stomach, but it also lit a fire under my eyes. The drive and passion I'd had in previous years of playing quickly relit and burned inside me. When I used to compete professionally and seen players with skill of similar stature to my own, it made me want to rise further. Whether it was Saxy in Rules of Survival, Grant and Ducky in Fortnite Mobile, or even when Jokesta challenged me for the #1 spot in the COD Mobile leaderboards, anytime I seen a threat, I would immediately lock them in to a short list of enemies. These enemies had to be beat at all costs, and up until this point, basically nobody knows that I use that tactic as fuel to push myself further.
Bro, this is rigged.
Focus in harder, grind longer hours, and overall just obsess more about whatever game I'm playing. However, something was different when I seen these clips of players performing talented moves. It wasn't like before where people were playing catch up to me. I was the antagonist. I seen myself as the villain, the slacker trying to catch up to them. For the next 72 hours, the only rooms I entered were my gaming and bedroom. I went from gym and health obsessed to gaming and mentally oppressed. At least that's how I saw it. Playing 16 hours a day, there was nothing on my mind except Apex Legends Mobile. The proof was in my upload schedule. By day 5, I felt like I was getting somewhere. Advancements in skill were plentiful, and increases in my knowledge made it so I was a force to be reckoned with.
easy.
I could now contend with some novice trios by myself and hold my own against many good players. As week 2 began, I felt ready to prove myself to the top dogs. All the best players agreed we should do time drops, a practice used commonly when games don't have private matches built in. Each team queues at the same time to get into the same game, and it creates the highest level of competition we could possibly get. And by this point, forget a small fire or a forest in flames. There was a fully functioning sun ready to explode into a supernova lit under my ass. See, since I'm a content creator, it's far harder to gain respect from solely pro players. As soon as they see that you're a YouTuber, your ranking on the pedestal or the leaderboard of skill gets taken down a notch. And by this point, I made it my sole goal to make sure I was in that 0.00001% of players.
I show them. We will show them all.
I yearned to prove myself. I'm so talented! And just like before, the satisfaction of knowing you can hang with the best would be amazing. So I stormed that scrim scene with a vengeance. A swift wipe in the first ever time drop match, and my confidence shot up like an intercontinental ballistic missile. With a narrow victory on the first ever game, I was feeling pretty good. But this obviously wasn't enough. As for the next 3 days, I wanted nothing more than to continually dominate in these games. Again, some familiar faces.
I mean, to think that one of his friends killed him for no reason whatsoever would be too ridiculous.
Every match, my ego grew more and more as the wins flooded in and the skill gap widened. I even started taking fights with teams that seemed impossible just days prior. Grinding the TDs and ranked side by side, it became more and more obvious to me. I had absolutely shattered my previous perception of myself in Apex, and I made sure everyone knew it. It didn't matter if they were #1 in previous titles.
Oh, you got it.
I got it.
The sweatiest pro players I could find.
Knock 2.
Crack that guy in there first. Crack that guy.
All dead.
Or even your favorite YouTubers, the ones you look up to the most, the content creators that glue you to your screens. Every single player was getting the smoke.
He's camping on top. Oh my god, I just glitch killed him, dude.
As all this was going down, Ranked was released. And of course, by this point, it really wasn't a question of whether I was going to get it. It was just when. That when came in the first day. And this solidified what I wanted from the start. To be able to consider myself among the most talented Apex Legend mobile players. And I felt like I had done just that. But I know there's some questions you want the answers to. Did I ever manage to master the Mastiff? I guess you could say that. Can I 1v3 a scrim team by myself?
Behind it, yes. Oh, it's coming.
Yeah, Jesus. I'm tracking a lot of people. You could probably res right here.
Yeah, I'm already got you.
You're also maybe curious what communication sounds like in the end game.
They cross right. They're gonna swing on us.
Knocked one. But that team's dead. Focus the rock. Above where that last guy was. Knocked one. Yo, focus the rock on my mark.
However, lastly, you might want to know, can I clutch up against the very best by myself?
That's sun dead.
Nice. Great track as well. Oh, yeah.
That's how we win those! I've got one question to ask you. Should I keep making videos on this game?